Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the two-game slate for Monday night for week 4. We were not supposed to have a two-game slate for Monday night. We were just going to have the Falcons and the Packers game. We were going to have a showdown slate, but because the Patriots and Chiefs game was rescheduled to Monday night, Draftkings and Yahoo are both running out pretty nice tournaments for this two-game slate. I know Draftkings running out a $10, I think it's 2.5 million in total prizes, like 1 million to first. They got a $3 play action with 200K in total prizes. Big tournaments for this two-game slate. Yahoo's running a 20K baller with 4K to first over on their site. So I do want to talk about this two-game slate, break it down position by position. I do prefer to play these over showdown slates. Like me personally, I would rather play a two-game slate than a showdown slate. So I am excited for this one. We'll break down each position, quarterback through tight end. We'll hit on defense really quickly towards the end of the video, but mainly quarterback through tight end, is where we're going to discuss the guys that I like at each position. So before we do get started, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button down below. If you do enjoy these videos, the way you can support me is just by hitting the like button. I do appreciate all the likes. And if you are new here, if this is your first time checking out a video on my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I am uploading a ton of NFL content right now, getting up 4 to 5 videos a week for NFL. I'm still uploading some NBA videos too. I'm trying to get up videos for the showdown slate. I didn't get one up for Sunday night's game just because I was really focused on NFL Sunday, but I'll definitely have an NBA video up for Game 4 of the finals. Pretty sure that'll be on Tuesday, so be on the lookout for that. Still uploading NFL content as well all throughout the week. Videos going up almost every single day, so hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate it, guys. Be sure to click the notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You will never miss out on any of my new videos. And lastly, if you do really enjoy these YouTube videos and if they do really help you, I have more content available on Patreon. You can check that out, link down below in the description. If you want to get more content from me, you can see all that I do have to offer over on Patreon. But let's go ahead and take a look at quarterback for this two-game slate. So we got 4 options here. We got Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, and then it's already been announced that Brian Hoyer is going to start for the Patriots because Cam Newton got COVID and he will not be playing this game. They did go with Brian Hoyer over Jarrett Stidham, which I thought was kind of interesting, but Hoyer is going to be starting for the Patriots, and then obviously Mahomes, Rodgers, and Ryan. So I think we definitely want to start off with the top guys, Patrick Mahomes, Rodgers, Matt Ryan. I think these are the guys we're really going to be looking at. Brian Hoyer's cheap, but I honestly don't feel like I'm going to really be playing him. Even though he is cheap, I'd rather just try and pay up here. Plus, the salaries on DraftKings, I don't know why, but they are really soft for this two-game slate. Like, the pricing, like, guys are really cheap, man. Like, Julio is 6K. I know he hasn't been great lately. He wasn't good last week. He's been dealing with injuries, but 6K for Julio is just way too cheap. Like, Tyreek Hill, even 6,800. Edelman's only 5,300. Sammy Watkins is only 4,300. Like, you can easily fit in, pretty good guys around like the expensive quarterbacks. I don't think you really need to pay down at quarterback on this slate. So starting off at the top, I think Patrick Mahomes is clearly the top option on the slate. Definitely projects the highest out of all the quarterbacks. It's a tough matchup against the Patriots without a doubt. The Patriots are a good defensive team. I'm sure Bill Belichick is going to try and scheme up ways to slow down Mahomes, but this guy's just so good. This Chiefs offense is so good that like they're going to put up points every single week. Like Mahomes is going to be a guy that gives you, 20, 25 DK points at the least. Like his floor right now is pretty much like 20, 22 DK points. Like he just has such a high floor. Obviously there is a massive ceiling for him. He showed it last week against the Ravens, going for 43 DraftKings points. Like even with the Chiefs are up, like they will still throw the ball a ton. We did see that against the Ravens. Like they were up 3 touchdowns and they were still throwing the ball a ton in that game. Mahomes still threw the ball 42 times in a game where they were, pretty easily winning throughout the entire game. So I really like Mahomes here. He's my top quarterback to pay up for. I think he's the guy I really want to try and jam in. Aaron Rodgers has been good this year. He's been better than I thought he would be. But at 7K, even in a really good matchup against the Falcons, I think I would just rather try and find the salary to get up to Patrick Mahomes if I can. So I like Mahomes a lot. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well. He's $5 more than Rodgers. But again, if I can just find the $5, I think I would rather play Patrick Mahomes. By far my favorite quarterback to target here. It is a good matchup for Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think I'm going to be playing much of him because, I just prefer Mahomes by a good amount. Matt Ryan is 6,200. I could see going to just as a guy, that you can use to save salary. I always like to target Matt Ryan, even when he's on the road. He's not nearly as good on the road as he is at home, but this Falcons team just throws the ball so much. This is a game where they are probably going to be playing from behind. I believe right now Green Bay is favored by 6 at home, so game script should lean towards the passing game. Late in the game, we should see Matt Ryan throwing the ball a ton. 54 passing attempts week 1, 36 in week 2, 38 in week 3. He's going to throw the ball 35 to 40 times at the least, maybe even more depending on how game script sets up. At 6,200, I could see using Matt Ryan just as a salary saver. If I'm not paying up for Mahomes at the top, I think the guy I'd look to next would be Matt Ryan. If you do drop down from Mahomes to Ryan, that might allow you to maybe get in an extra stud into your lineup, whether that's, an expensive running back like Aaron Jones or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or if that's an expensive receiver like a, Julio or a Tyreek Hill or a Devontae Adams. So for me, Mahomes and Ryan are probably my two favorites when you factor in salary. Aaron Rodgers, I love the matchup obviously, but he's just so closely priced in Mahomes that I would rather play Mahomes. And then Brian Hoyer, I just can't trust him here. He's not that great of a quarterback. He's not really a good fantasy quarterback either. I just don't think he has much upside. Me personally, I'm not going to play many Patriots. The only Patriots I do like are Julian Edelman and maybe N'Keal Harry for value. I really won't be on anyone else. I could see the Chiefs winning this game pretty easily. I think right now they're favored by 11, which maybe that could concern you a bit for Mahomes. But, like I said earlier, even when this Chiefs team gets up, they will still throw the ball. They're looking to put up points on the board, even when they're up big. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts at quarterback. Mainly Mahomes and Ryan for me. Rodgers and Hoyer would be secondary plays, guys I would only target if I was playing, multiple lineups. Let's go ahead and move on to running back, though. We'll talk about this position. So I think this position is clearly headed by the two guys at the top, Aaron Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think I do want to try and pay up for both these two guys. I don't really want to target any of the New England running backs. James White is expected back for this game. Sony Michel, he's listed as questionable, but I believe he is expected to play. I don't see any reason why he would miss this game. It looks like it's a quad issue, questionable for Sunday's game, Monday's game, I should say, since it's being played on Monday. He practiced in limited fashion this week. I'm going to assume that Michel plays. Obviously, if Sony Michel winds up out, then that will definitely change things. I think a guy like Rex Burkhead would actually become a really good play. But for now, I'm going to assume that all Patriots running backs play. So for me, I really don't want to target the Patriots backfield when there's, it's a three-headed monster when you have three guys back there. I want to try and pay up for Aaron Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, two workhorse backs, two guys that just get massive amounts of volume. Aaron Jones coming off week 2 against the Lions, coming off a massive game in week 2, 168 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches for 68 yards, and a receiving touchdown. He's just getting a ton of volume this year. 20 touches week 1, 22 touches in week 2. Last week he got 18 touches against the Saints. He is locked in for anywhere from 18 to 25 touches. That's pretty much his range of outcomes most times. You'll see maybe some games where he falls under that number. Maybe you'll even see games where he gets more than that. But his workload is very secure. The matchup's really good against the Falcons. The Falcons do not have a good defense at all. I really like Aaron Jones here. It's hard not to like him on a short 2-game slate, especially when you look at the running back position. There's really not any other guys I feel too confident in besides Jones and Edwards-Helaire. We will talk about Todd Gurley. I think Todd Gurley is viable for sure, but I like Aaron Jones quite a bit on both sides. He is very expensive on Yahoo. He's $38. I think, though, if I can find a way to fit him in, I do want to try and pay up for Aaron Jones over on Yahoo as well. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though, I like a ton here. 6,200, against the Patriots, not the best spot, not the, or a really good defensive team, not the best matchup overall, but again, Clyde Edwards-Helaire just gets so much volume, gets good work in the passing game. Last 2 weeks, 8 targets, 6 targets, they're involving him in the passing game after he was only targeted 2 times in week 1. I think this is going to be a guy that we see most likely get, anywhere from kind of similar to Aaron Jones, 18 to 25 touches a week. That's usually, his range of outcome. If they get behind, they'll use him in the passing game. If they're playing with a lead, it's not like he's coming off the field. He's still going to be out there even if they have a lead. So I feel really confident in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's clearly the number 1 running back right now for this team. He's going to get all the volume. At 6,200, you could argue that he's way too cheap, even in a tough matchup. I want to try and build around him and Jones at running back. Now on Yahoo, it is a bit tougher to play those two guys together because they are very expensive, especially if you're trying to pay up for Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Playing Mahomes at $39, Jones at $38, and then Edwards-Helaire at $32, that really thins you out on salary. I think it makes sense to maybe drop down to Todd Gurley on Yahoo. I don't love Todd Gurley overall. I thought he would have, a much better year than he's had so far. He hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't really been great either. Week 1 against Seattle, 14 carries, 56 yards. He did get into the end zone, getting a little bit of work in the passing game, not as much as I thought he would. I thought he'd be the clear workhorse back, and he's been their number one running back, but he hasn't been like a true workhorse. I thought 20-plus touches a week was, almost a lock for Todd Gurley. Hasn't been the case so far. 16 touches last week against the Bears. Did get 21 carries against Dallas in week 2, but, didn't get any work in the passing game there. Against the Packers, I don't mind the matchup that much. I mean, the Packers, I guess they don't really have that stifling of a run defense. I think they are a team you can run on. So far this season, they have allowed 115 rushing yards a game, which is about middle of the pack. On a 2-game slate, I'm not really going to worry too much about matchup. I'm just going to play the guys that I like. So Todd Gurley, I think he is viable here, especially on Yahoo where, Aaron Jones and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are so expensive. It's going to be really tough to pay up for both those guys. I do like going to Gurley at his Yahoo salary of just $18. On DraftKings, though, for $700 more, I would just much rather play Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire was if he was like $25 on Yahoo, then I would definitely rather play him over Gurley. But because he's so much more expensive, I think it does make sense to drop down to Gurley, save $14, and then that should allow you to maybe pay up for one expensive receiver, whether that's Adams, Hill. We'll talk about all those guys once we do get to the receiver position. But I think we kind of broke down running back, mainly Jones, Edwards-Helaire, and Gurley for me. If Sony Michel winds up out, then I will definitely have interest in Rex Burkhead, but we'll just have to wait and see there. For right now, I am assuming that Michel plays. I guess you could maybe target James White, just thinking, maybe with Kansas City playing, from ahead in this game with them being such big favorites. We could see them, obviously New England probably going to have to throw a lot in this game. With Brian Hoyer being at quarterback, that he could definitely look to check down a lot. I could see a situation where maybe James White gets, 6, 8 targets. 4,700, I guess you could go there, but I would just rather play Jones and Edwards-Helaire. The only way I would play White would be like as a flex option. On my DraftKings lineups, I'm definitely just jamming in Jones and I'm jamming in Edwards-Helaire. If I play White as a flex, I could say playing White as a flex, but there's no way I'm playing him, over those two guys, over those two top guys. So let's just go ahead and move on to receiver now. We'll talk about this position. We do have a lot of studs at the top here. Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, Julio, Julian Edelman. So right now, almost all these guys are questionable. The only guy who isn't questionable is Tyreek Hill. Adams is questionable. Calvin Ridley is questionable. Julio is, and so is Edelman. But I'm assuming that all of them play. I'm pretty sure we've already gotten word that Julio is going to play. We've already gotten word that Calvin Ridley is going to play. Devontae Adams we'll have to see. It looks like it's going to be a game-time decision. I would assume that he does play here. He didn't play last week. He was doubtful heading into their game last week, and then he obviously wound up out. He's not doubtful, though, this week. He is questionable, which is an upgrade. I'm just going to assume he plays for now. And then Julian Edelman, it seems like he's questionable every week. I'm just going to assume that Edelman plays as well. So I'm assuming all these guys play. Starting off at the top with Devontae Adams, the matchup is fantastic for him against the Falcons. I think if he does play, he's probably my favorite receiver to pay up for here. The matchup's just so good. He's going to get so much volume. Assuming he's not limited, assuming he's a full go, I think we can probably pencil him in for double-digit targets. I know he only got 3 targets week 2 against Detroit, but that was a bit of an outlier. Rarely are you going to see that bad of a game from Devontae Adams. When healthy, this guy is going to be one of the top receivers for fantasy, going to be one of the safest guys to target in terms of volume. His volume is just going to be so secure in this offense, especially with Allen Lazard going down. That's just one less receiver that they have that Aaron Rodgers can look to. If Adams plays, he's my favorite receiver to pay up for. I definitely like him at $7K. I think I do prefer him over Ridley, and I do prefer him over Tyreek Hill. Calvin Ridley's been awesome this season. For $6,900, I guess you could target him, getting just great volume every week, double-digit targets, over 100 yards every game. He didn't score last week, but he still got over 100 yards, so he was still able to, put up a pretty solid game with 19.7 DK points. I like Ridley. I like how consistent he's been. He's so involved in this offense, but if I can find the salary, I do feel better with Devontae Adams. I feel like the matchup's better for Adams, and, I think his volume is a little bit more secure, or at least it's a little bit higher, I should say. Ridley's volume is very secure, but I think if there's one guy that could get 16 targets, it's probably going to be Devontae Adams. Tyreek Hill against the Patriots, obviously Tyreek Hill has massive upside. I guess this is a little bit of a tough matchup, though. Maybe they use Stephon Gilmore and shadow him. I'm not exactly sure if they will do that. I guess we'll have to see. Dating back to last year when they played New England, I can't remember if Gilmore shadowed Hill or not. I can't remember if he had any big games against New England last year. I mean, the guy has so much upside. He's so quick that, he'll probably find ways to get open. They do move Tyreek Hill all around the field. Even if Gilmore does shadow him, it's not like he's going to completely shut down Tyreek Hill. I know Gilmore is one of the better corners in the league, but Tyreek Hill does have a ton of upside. I wouldn't be fading Tyreek Hill because of that. I still don't know if I can play him, though, over a guy like Davante Adams. I just like the matchup so much for Adams. I love his upside against this Falcons secondary. Like I said earlier, if I'm paying up a receiver, I think Adams is my favorite guy at $7K. But when you do look at salaries, I talked about it earlier, Julio is only $6K. Look, I know Julio, he's coming off a bad game in week 2 when he actually played. Obviously, he was out last week, did not play last week against the Bears. That was kind of a reason, Calvin really was able to get, good volume in that week because Julio was out. I am expecting Julio back here. We've already gotten word that, he is going to play. Look, man, for $6K, that's just too cheap of a price tag for Julio Jones. This is still a guy that has massive upside. Green Bay, they do have Jair Alexander, who maybe they use to shadow Julio, but Julio's just such a big receiver, such a strong receiver. He's pretty much one of the he is, in my opinion, a matchup-proof receiver. Like, I don't care who he's lined up against. The dude's going to find a way to get open. Matt Ryan's going to find a way to get the ball to Julio. At $6K, like, the fact that he's so much cheaper than all these other top guys, I think that is, that's a mistake in my opinion. Like, he should be at least $6,500. He should probably be up there with, like, Ridley and Adams. Like, he should be, like, $6,800, $6,900. We are definitely getting a discount on Julio. I like him a lot on Draftkings at just $6K. I think he is very underpriced here. Look, he's going to have good volume most weeks. He only got 4 targets last week, but I believe he was kind of injured in that game. I know he played a good amount of the game, but he was on and off with the injury. Look, when the guy's healthy, he's one of the highest upside receivers in the league. High total game right now. I think this game has a 56.5 total. Very likely we see a shootout here. Falcons probably going to be playing from behind. Like, everything sets up well for Julio. The price tag's also, really favorable. So I like him a lot at $6K. I think he's way too cheap. And then Julian Edelman's another guy that I like at $5,300. With Brian Hoyer at quarterback, obviously that's probably a downgrade for Julian Edelman if I had to guess. But I talked about Julian Edelman in my first look video that I recorded earlier in the week on Monday. Obviously, then I was expecting this game to be played on Sunday. I was expecting Cam Newton to be at quarterback as well. Neither one of those things are the case, but still, Edelman I do have interest in. Just going to get good volume, man. 7 targets, 11 targets, 6 targets. Game script's going to be very favorable here for the passing game with the Patriots being such big dogs, 11-point dogs, I believe, on the road. Like, you would expect them to be playing from behind. They're going to be playing catch-up late in the game. They're going to have to, find a way to keep up with this explosive Chiefs offense. We've seen, in games where the Patriots are playing from behind, they'll throw the ball. That was the case in Week 2 against Seattle. Cam, I think, threw the ball like 45 times in that game. Edelman got targeted 11 times. Like, we could see a scenario where Brian Hoyer is forced to throw the ball a lot late in the game if they are playing from behind, which will most likely be the case. Look, Edelman for $5,300, the guy just finds ways to get open, man. He's just a really talented receiver. He's a great target on DraftKings with it being full PPR scoring. Seems like every week he's catching, 5-6 balls. I like him a lot at $5,300. I think he is another guy that's just a little bit too cheap. He has such a high floor, for the salary. Even when you're getting like a floor game from Edelman, you're still getting double-digit DK points from him, and he's shown somewhat of a ceiling, especially in games where the Patriots are playing from behind when they're forced to throw more. Edelman's got a 20, 25-point ceiling. I like him a lot at $5,300 on DK. I do like him a lot over on Yahoo as well. He is very cheap over there, coming in at just $19. Definitely like Julian Edelman on both sites. And then there are some guys we can target for value. So with Allen Lazard out, I think that is definitely a bump for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. For $4,900, I think he is for sure viable here. Obviously, if Davante Adams plays, that is a bit of a downgrade for Valdes-Scantling, but he's still going to be the number 2 receiver now that Lazard is out. So you could target him for a value. Obviously, if Adams somehow does not play, then MVS would probably become one of the better options on the slate. We will need to keep up to date with all these questionables, but like I said earlier, I'm assuming that all these guys play. Russell Gage for $4,500 you could target, but with Julio back, with Calvin Ridley expect to play as well, I just don't know if I want to go to Russell Gage. He saw good volume weeks 1 and 2, even with both those guys healthy. I think I'd rather just target MVS though if I can. Probably even rather drop down to like Sammy Watkins or McCole Hardman. I mean, Sammy Watkins, I never play this guy, but when I'm going to play him, it'll probably be like on a 2-game slate like this or a showdown slate. With it being just a 2-game slate, I do have some interest in Sammy Watkins at 4,300. If Stephon Gilmore does shadow Tyreek Hill, which is, I guess, a possibility, you would think that's a little bit of a boost for Sammy Watkins. He's going to get good volume, though, regardless. I mean, 8 targets last week against Baltimore, 9 targets week 1 against Houston. The guy's going to get pretty solid volume. For 4,300, you can't really do worse, as a value receiver. I do have interest in Sammy Watkins. I think McCole Hardman is another guy we can definitely target. You never know what you're going to get in terms of volume from Hardman. His volume is much more, harder to predict than Watkins. But he has big play upside, and we saw that last week against the Ravens. He caught a long touchdown. I think it was like a 50-yard touchdown, which really, obviously allowed him to have such a good game. Like I said earlier, if Tyreek Hill's going to get shadowed by Gilmore, Hardman's another guy that can just break off a long touchdown. He could get a better matchup if Gilmore is following Tyreek Hill around. At 4K, I actually do like Hardman as a value play. I feel a little bit better with Watkins. I just feel like Watkins' target floor is a little bit higher than Hardman, but Hardman does have big play upside and is for sure a viable option at 4K. He is really cheap on Yahoo. Do want to talk about him over there. He's coming in at just $11. I think as a value receiver over there, if you look at the Yahoo pricing, Sammy Watkins is $6 more than Hardman. N'Keal Harry is even $3 more. I definitely like Hardman, at that cheap Yahoo salary of just $11. They need to try and find a way to get this guy the ball, get him involved in the offense. He's a very speedy receiver, does have big play upside. He should be their number 3 receiver. He should be playing ahead of Demarcus Robinson, in my opinion. And I think with him having such a good game last week, maybe they'll look to get him the ball more this week. As a cheap option, on both sides even, I think he makes a lot of sense. N'Keal Harry, I do have interest in as well, though, as a value receiver, 3,900. With Brian Hoyer at quarterback, is that a bump for N'Keal Harry? Probably not, but he was getting good volume when Cam was at QB. 6 targets week 1 in the game against Seattle where they were playing from behind. He got targeted 12 times, 4 targets last week against the Raiders. I mean, this is a game where you expect the Patriots to be playing from behind. Should see them throw more. Like I said earlier in the video, I don't love many Patriots on this slate, but if I'm going to target 2 guys, it would probably be N'Keal Harry and Julian Edelman. I think those are the 2 guys I do have the most interest in. For 3,900, I do like N'Keal Harry as a value receiver. I would probably rather play him over Damiere Byrd. I think Harry's just, his target floor, his volume is just more secure than Byrd's is. So if I can find the salary, I would rather go to him. But I think that's probably it for receiver for me. We do have some value at this position with Harry, with Hardman, Watkins. Also got good pay-up options, though, so a lot of ways you can go here. I think I would definitely try and fit in one of these expensive guys, Julio and above, whether it's Julio, Hill, Ridley, Adams. I'd probably try and get in one of those 4, if not 2 of those 4, and then, mix in 1 or 2 of these value receivers, Watkins, Hardman, Harry. I think this is definitely a slate where, normally I like to play 3 running backs and play, a running back in my flex. But I think this could be a slate where you for sure play 4 wide receivers and play a wide receiver at your flex, especially because, we do have some good value at this position. But, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to tight end. We'll hit on this position real quickly. So clearly, Travis Kelce is the top play at tight end. It's going to be tough to fit him in, especially if you're trying to pay up for Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. These are the guys I want to pay up for. I don't think I'm going to be able to pay up at tight end, especially because I like some of the other expensive options. Obviously, Kelce is a fine option. You can definitely play Kelce here, but I'd rather save salary, go for value. I think Hayden Hurst is by far my favorite value at 4,200. Look, he's going to get good volume in this offense. He's clearly their go-to tight end. He's their every down tight end. He's pretty much taken over the Austin Hooper role, playing over 70-80% of the snaps. Did get only 3 targets last week, but he did get into the end zone. He got into the end zone the week before that as well against the Cowboys. In a game like this that projects a shootout, the Falcons being 6-point road dogs, passing game, or they should lean towards a passing game later on in the game. I think we'll see Hayden Hurst, get 6 to 8 targets for 4,200 at tight end. If I can't pay up for Kelce, which I probably won't be able to if I'm paying up for some of the other guys we talked about, then I think Hayden Hurst is my clear favorite, cheap tight end. Robert Tanya, I guess you could target. He's actually been pretty involved these last 2 weeks. 3 targets in week 2 against Detroit, 5 targets against the Saints last Sunday night. He has gotten into the end zone both games. With Allen Lazard out, with Devontae Adams maybe not 100%, could you target Robert Tanya? I guess you could, but for me, I feel like I think Hayden Hurst just gives us more upside. I think his target floor is a lot higher. I think his target ceiling is also higher. Like, if there's one guy that could get 8 targets, it would be Hayden Hurst. I don't think Robert Tanya is going to get that kind of volume. So, for me, I would probably rather go to Hurst on the other side of that game. I guess Tanya is fine for value, though. Like, if I'm going to play a Packers tight end, it would probably be him. Don't really want to go to anyone on the New England side. So, for me, it's just these 3 guys, Kelsey, Hurst, and Tanya. I think Hurst is my favorite. And then, if you can pay it for Kelsey, by all means, go ahead. Tanya's fine as well, but I like Hurst the most at the position. He's also cheap on Yahoo, $14. You're able to save some salary there, if you do play Hurst at tight end. But defense, on a 2-game slate like this, obviously, defense, you're going to have some guys against your defense because, there's so many few options to play. Like, you're probably going to have one guy from every team if I had to guess. Just looking at these 5 guys, you got one guy from New England, one from Atlanta, one from Green Bay, and one from KC. So, you got one guy from every team. You're going to have to play at least 1 or 2 players against your defense. So, I don't really worry too much about defense. Obviously, the Chiefs, they probably project the best because they are facing a backup quarterback that will most likely turn the ball over, that will take some sacks. If you can pay for the Chiefs defense, by all means, go ahead. They are 4K, though. I think saving some salary and maybe playing, the Packers defense makes some sense at $2,800. I don't really look too much into defense on a 2-game slate. I'm just going to play whatever defense fits into my lineup. If I have the salary, I'll try and pay it for the Chiefs, but I feel like the Packers are the team I'll probably be playing the most of just because they save you a little bit of salary, and defense is just so hard to predict anyway. Just because the Chiefs are the most expensive, doesn't mean they're going to score the most points. They could easily get outscored by another team. So now on Yahoo, I think the Chiefs are clearly the best option here. They really didn't get priced up. They're $15, same price as the Patriots defense. They're $1 less than the Packers. I will for sure be playing the Chiefs defense on Yahoo. On Draftkings, though, I think saving salary and playing the Packers or any of these other 2 teams does make some sense. But yeah, guys, I think we broke everything down for this 2-game slate, broke it all down position by position. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching the video. If you enjoyed, just hit that like button before you get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you do really enjoy these YouTube videos, if they really help you and you want to get more content from me, I have stuff available on Patreon. You can check that out, link down below in the description. You can see all that I do have to offer over there. But best of luck on this 2-game slate, guys. I hope you did enjoy the video. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight, guys. Peace.